I'm Sierra Bender. I'm author of Goddess to the Core and the creator of the Sierra Bender Empowerment Method. So yesterday I was on ABC talking about rape on college campus. It's not a very pretty subject matter. However, it is a subject that needs to be talked about at this time as our young, beautiful women are going off to college campus and young men. And last night, actually, my girlfriend came to visit me with her daughter, who's now going to USF, and I actually sat down and had the conversation with her. And it's very uncomfortable to speak about this, but maybe you can get someone else to speak to your daughter or your son about it besides you, because, you know, as parents, you know, kids don't want to listen. They think they know it all, especially going to college. You're investing all this money, all this time and energy. So as you speak to your child or have a mentor speak to your child, the first thing you have to recognize is, especially for young women, you know, all young women think they know it all. They think they're empowered already. They're not. And even as women, I see this all the time. If we were empowered, then the statistics, the national statistics, wouldn't be as high as they are, such as 1 out of 3 women, young women, come from the statistic of sexual assault and abuse before the age of 18. Again, that's really profound. Now, what I've realized in my research with the Sierra Bender Empowerment Method, even as women, as we're getting older, I deal with young girls from 13 to ages 75, been testing them, measuring them, clinically measuring them with American University since 2010, and I kept seeing these patterns. I'm like, what are these patterns that I keep seeing? Is if 1 out of 3 women come from a statistic of sexual assault and abuse before the age of 18, most don't even report it. So really the statistics aren't telling the truth. However, we can, because in our silence is the violence about not talking about it. But what I recognized is that even through doing all this research, there was so many women dealing with eating disorders, so many with depression, shopaholics, bad relationships, and all this stems from this one statistic. And each woman is handling her stress differently or handling her secret differently. And that's how we've been conditioned to continually keep pushing it down, pushing it down, pushing it down, thinking we can outrun it, thinking we can outsmart it. And the reality is, it's not fair that you're holding the secret for so long. Now you get into a relationship, your partner doesn't even know the truth. And I saw a lot of suffering with women that they were getting divorced, or their partnerships, you know, the relationships from an intimacy perspective weren't even working out. All because this one ugly secret that we won't admit to ourselves. Now, you know, this work has come to me. I didn't choose this work. It's actually, you know, God put me in this position. And I am a statistic of sexual assault and abuse, and I have no problem with it and voicing it, because it gives me the power to help other women empower themselves and truly do the work, not just on the surface of being imitation men, but truly doing the work so that we don't pass down these patterns and these secrets to the next generation, because we do. You know, and for you to think that it's not getting passed on down, it does. It's just about conditioning. You know, how we think is how we feel is how we behave, and how we behave is what we will manifest. And it's even proven that even, you know, if you grew up in an alcoholic background and you never even took a sip of alcohol, you still have the tendencies because of the belief systems that you were taught and the conditioning that you were taught. So when we talk about these things to our children, you know, what is in your ancestry and your genes, you know, it's also a time when children go off to school. It's the highest rate of alcoholism. You know, they first step foot on college campus, there's a lot of drinking, a lot of drugging, a lot of partying, and then this goes into their adult life of how they handle stress in the corporate life. And when we think of the stress and what's happening in the corporate life, also those drugs get stronger and alcohol gets to be addictive, of learning how to handle stress through numbing out our emotions instead of learning how to work with them. And if we look at our culture overall, we're not very emotionally intelligent that way, and it's because we're so conditioned to numb out our emotions. And so when you speak to your daughter, you speak to your son, that conversation has to come from you as the parent, as the adult, or again, get someone else that can have that conversation with them, because what you're teaching them is empowerment, but also emotional intelligence, which then gives themselves permission to feel it, work with it, and then gives themselves permission, when they have children, to pass on down this knowledge and to pass down the courage in speaking your truth and speaking about these subject matters like the pink elephant in the middle of the room. So those are my tips for you when you send off your child off to college. To sit down, please, please, please have that conversation, because it could make a huge difference. And although kids have an attitude, they don't want to hear you, they don't really want to deal with it, you have to make them sit down and deal with it. Ask them questions, ask them how they feel before they step foot on campus, because would you rather be guiding them, or society and college campus life be guiding them? So those are my tips. Have a great night, have a great weekend. I know you can do this. Have this beautiful, wonderful, empowering conversation with your child. And if not, have them watch my video. That'd be great too. There is a video. I've given tips and facts about what's going on college campus. It's really sad what's happening. Again, I've been doing this for over 8 years, and it's about time people start looking at it instead of pushing it underneath the carpet and starting to create the change that's much needed, so our children are no longer suffering. So have a great night, and I'll see you on Monday.